Okay, today I'm going to show you how I make yogurt. I usually just dump some milk in and guess, but so you might want to try it yourselves. I'll try and measure today. I'm going to do like a half a gallon. This is one thing I make when I don't have my own milk and use store milk for. I'm just using whole milk from Smith's. I like their milk. So I've got 2 quarts or half a gallon. I'm going to pour it into a heavy pan. And I'm going to heat it to 180 degrees. Milk can boil over really easy and scorch really easy, so you want to be really careful to watch it. This is my Polder thermometer. I love it, especially for my cheese making. You can actually set it so that it will beep at you when it gets to 180 degrees in case I don't catch it. This is a stainless steel spatula. I use it to stir with because I like the straight edge on the bottom. If you're not careful, it'll scorch. So I'm just going to heat this to 180, and while I do that, I'm going to start working on the jars, get the jars ready. I've got my temperature on maybe medium high, and I just need to keep an eye on it so it doesn't scorch. Okay, this has been on the stove about 8 minutes. It's starting to kind of stick to the bottom. It's at 153 degrees, so from about here on out, it's really best if I just kind of stay close, and I just don't want it to burn. So when it gets close to where you want it, you kind of need to watch it. You can tell it's getting close. It's starting to steam. It looks like it's going to be boiling soon. So I know it's getting close. I've made it enough times. If I was doing it, I don't even use a thermometer anymore because I can tell by the way it looks if it's warm enough. You can see there it's bubbling and it's really close to boiling. So it's at 180 degrees. I'm now gonna turn the stove off. And cover it and time it for 30 minutes. Here's my kitchen timer. I'm going to set it for 30 minutes. And I want to hold this milk as close to 180 as I can for 30 minutes. I find that if I cover it, leave it on the stove with the stove turned off, the lid on it, that works for me. When I start my yogurt, I always like to choose a Chobani or Fig Greek plain yogurt for my yogurt start. And I just go to the store and buy a carton of Fig Greek plain yogurt or Chobani Greek plain yogurt. This is my yogurt start. This was from my last batch. I'm just going to sit it here and let it warm up a little bit while I'm waiting for my milk. This is a favorite size bottle, little half-pint bottle that I like to put my yogurt in. Make sure they're clean. Clean your jars, and then I sterilize them in my microwave. want to have everything clean and sterile, so just the good cultures grow in your yogurt. I want my lids to be sterile, so I'm going to heat this water till it boils, but not let it boil, and then pull it off and put these lids in to make sure they're sterile. These are lids that I use over and over again with my canning. I do want them to be nice and clean. If you can put them in a dishwasher to sterilize things, or you feel like you can wash them and they're sterile, I don't always boil them. But they do need to be nice and clean. We don't want to put any bacteria in our yogurt other than the good cultures we're going to add. Okay, my lids are just coming to a boil, so I'm going to pull them off and let them sit. Make sure my stove's turned off, and let them sit in this water until I'm ready to mix up my yogurt. Looks like I've got 4 more minutes to let it sit. Okay, my milk has sat at 180 degrees for 30 minutes. I'm now going to remove the lid, and I want to kind of hurry today, so I'm going to put it in a sink of cold water to cool it down. You can set it on the counter and leave it. We need to cool it now to around 100, 110. Okay, I've got my yogurt in the sink of cool water. I'm going to drop my thermometer in there for today. I pretty much know what it needs to feel like. I usually don't use a thermometer. But if it's too warm, it will kill our live cultures. So we want to make sure that it's at around anywhere between 90 and 110. Use a spoon, drop a little bit on your hand. It won't feel hot, it will feel warm or just right. But if you're not used to doing this, you'll probably want to use a thermometer at first until you get used to it. The milk gets a skim on the top. It does not have to be removed, but if you want to, you can take it off. I'm just going to stir it a little bit to try and pull it away from the edges, and I want it to cool down. You see, as I stir it, the temperature comes up. I've sterilized my bottles for 2 minutes. I'm going to get my bottles out. And one way that I like to incubate this is by using my rice bags. I've got two rice bags here. I'm going to put in the microwave and warm up for about 4 minutes. I've heated these rice bags up in the microwave for 4 minutes. I'm going to put them in my cooler and shut it. Kind of preheat it. Get it ready to incubate my yogurt. A cooler is one way you can incubate yogurt. I'm just filling this cooler with hot water, then I'll let it sit to try and warm up the fluid. Then right before I put the yogurt in it, I'll dump out the water, fill it just below the tops of the jars, which isn't very much, and put the lid on it to incubate it. There's my cooler with hot water, and it's just sitting there kind of getting warm. While those two get warm, I'm going to go ahead and finish up my yogurt. I'll do that right here on the cupboard. This is my yogurt start from last time. You can see it's fairly thick. The reason I let it sit at 180 for 30 minutes is because it makes a thicker yogurt, and I like it. I like it thicker. And sitting at 180 for 30 minutes makes a thicker yogurt. So this is my yogurt from last time, the start that I kept. So to thin it down, adding it to my cooled down milk. Added my yogurt start from last time I made yogurt. I'm going to mix it up really well. I've washed and sterilized my start bottle. And before I do anything else, I am going to take that off. This will be my yogurt start for my next batch. I use this shape and size of bottle because it's different than the other sizes of bottles, and my family knows not to eat this. It is my start for the next time. Some recipes say to use 2 tablespoons. I find that my yogurt gets done sooner, doesn't take as long to set, and sets well. So I get pretty sweet tasting yogurt in about 6 hours by using this much start. This is my yogurt start, ready to go in the incubator. This is my favorite kind of vanilla. I like a little bit of vanilla in it. I don't add any sugar to it, so it's just milk with the starter in it, but I do like a little bit of vanilla. I usually just pour a little bit in. I'll measure out a teaspoon today. That's my guess about what I usually pour in. Again, that's not exact, but always remember to take your start out first. If you're going to use your yogurt for to strain it down to use it in dips or whatnot, you might not want the vanilla flavoring in it. And so always take your start out first as a plain yogurt, because there will be times you're going to want to cook with it and you're not going to want the vanilla flavoring in it. Okay, now I've got my vanilla mixed in there. I'm going to fill up my jars. You can use any size jars. I choose this size of jar because it's an individual serving. Often I'll take this for lunch, to work for lunch, or then when I pull it out, I have an individual size of serving. Sometimes I do half pints, some of it in half pints. Sometimes I even do quarts. So you can put it in whatever size of a jar you think you will like. You'll have to try and see what you prefer. I'm screwing the lids on firmly, but not extra tight, just till they don't turn anymore. Okay, I just opened up my cooler. It's a little bit warm from my rice bags. I'm going to put them back in for 2 minutes while I load this up. When you use a cooler to incubate your yogurt, you want to make sure that there's air space between every jar. So I'm going to stack these on top of each other, but I'm going to make sure there's airflow around each jar. All of this would fit in this cooler easily, but I want to show you how to use water too. Okay, I put my bags back in for about 2 minutes. Now I'm going to put the bags in here with my yogurt. I'm trying to put them kind of around the yogurt a little bit. Where I didn't use all the space in this cooler, today I'm going to just put a towel on top of it to try and hold the heat down. You don't want to disturb it, and I'm just going to shut the lid and let it incubate. To finish up my incubation in the cooler with hot water, I'm going to dump the hot water out. That's kind of warmed up my cooler. Now I'm going to fill it full of water That's about 110 degrees. You want it to feel warm but not hot. If you need to, use your thermometer. You don't want it too hot. It will kill the good cultures. Just want it to feel warm. Make sure your lids are quite firm for this one. And you set them down in the water. You do not want the water to come up over the top of them. So if you put too much water in, pull it out a little bit. If you don't have enough, then add just a tad more. And I'm going to add just a little bit more hot water to that. I want the water level to be about to the bottom of the rings. Feels good to me. I'm going to check it with this just to see. Looks like I'm at about 110, which is just about perfect. Notice that I've left space around all the jars, so there's water on all sides. Again, you don't want to disturb it. Leave it in the place. Keep the lid on. There's my yogurt coolers. They're in there, starting to incubate, and I'm going to check them 4 to 6 hours. I expect it to take about 6 hours. Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes it's a little more. And remember that when you put it in the fridge, it'll also firm up just a little bit. But you want it set before you take it out of the heat. Okay, it's been about 5 hours, and I'm going to check the yogurt, see how we're doing here. This is the water bath. It's done. Awesome. This is the rice bag one. Got the rice bags in here. I put the towel on it to keep it warm. Still feels quite warm too. You can see it's done also. So 5 hours and our yogurt's done. I wanted to show you my yogurt maker. This is what I started making yogurt in. It works great. It has little bottles like this, and like a 6 ounce bottle. These little lids that snap on. You can see I've just got some of the bottles in there. It kind of has that little form in the bottle. It keeps the bottles separated. I actually broke one of the bottles. I've got 5 left, and I can actually put one of these in there and do 6. But for a family, this just doesn't make very much yogurt. And if I fill this clear to the top, I can't put berries or anything in it if I want to take it to work. So size is a big, the lids. The great things about the jars is these jars, as they cool, the lids actually somewhat seal on there. Not a seal like to preserve them forever, but it helps them not get a yucky layer on the top. These jars, if you leave them in the fridge too long, they kind of get crusty on top where it's not sealed tight. And these keep for easy 2 weeks or so in the fridge. So while I'm making a batch of yogurt, I like to make a big batch, and this yogurt maker doesn't allow me to do that. The cooler method, whether you use the rice bags or the water, you can make as much as you'd like. You can even use a big cooler and put water in it. While I'm making it, I want to make enough to last for several weeks. Thick, if you open it up and it's not as thick as you'd like it, put it back in, let it go another hour, and then check it. Some of the things to watch for, just make sure you don't get it too warm in the beginning. You don't want it ever to be over 115 or so once you add the starter culture. Make sure that you do the 30 minutes at 180. That makes a nice thick yogurt. And after you do it a few times, you won't even need the thermometer. It's really quite an easy process. Milk quality is important. I prefer using raw milk from the cows. But when I don't have raw milk, it's definitely worth buying milk to make my yogurt. A half a gallon of milk is $1. This cost me $1 to make all this yogurt. Once I've got the start, and then I'll use this start again. This is my start I saved. So I'll use that next time, but all this yogurt cost me $1. And the probiotics benefits of this, where it's fresh culture in there, is amazing. It's so good for your stomach. It's way better probiotics than a yogurt that's sat for a long time. As the yogurt sits, the probiotics aren't as good. The cultures aren't as good in them. So this is super good for your tummy. It's very inexpensive, very healthy food. That's why I make yogurt. Okay, so I'm just going to get all these now in the fridge. I'm going to put them in the fridge, let them set overnight cool. You can eat it warm. I prefer it cold. And I'm going to put it in the fridge to enjoy it tomorrow. Hope you enjoy it.